Notion has just released a new button feature allowing you to automate workflows and complete multiple tasks with a single click. You can now easily create blocks, add pages to databases, edit properties in databases, and much more. You can now configure multiple actions in a single button and even add a pop-up window to confirm you want to proceed with that action. This really opens up a lot of possibilities for automation in Notion, allowing you to save time with recurring or low-value tasks and really saving your energy for those high-value, high-impact tasks. There are 5 types of actions that you can configure with the new Notion button. These are insert blocks, add pages to a database, edit properties in a database, show confirmation, and open a page. So in today's video, I want to show you 3 use cases for the new Notion button using all these 5 types of action. So number 1, we're going to automate recurring tasks and add them directly to a database. Number 2, we're going to assign multiple items in a database to specific persons. And number 3, we're going to create recurring blocks in a meetings page. We're now in Notion. I'm going to show you how to configure your button for each of the 3 use cases. And we're going to start with the creation of repetitive tasks. Let's use a YouTube video creation as an example of a project. So every week I produce a new YouTube video and there's a set of standard tasks that I need to go through, including conducting research, scripting the video, shooting the video, editing the video, and so on. So previously, I configured the old template button to duplicate a set of tasks, which I then dragged inside my tasks database. And let me show you what that looked like. I would go ahead and click on my YouTube tasks button, which would generate the pages for the tasks that I had previously configured. Next, I would need to select those pages and drag them inside my tasks database. I would then configure the owner and the deadline for each task. And while this worked perfectly fine, there's obviously a lot of steps involved here. So with the new Notion button, we can actually create the tasks directly inside my tasks database and pre-configure properties like owner and deadline. So let's build that button together. And we start by clicking /BUT, which brings up our button block. The first thing we will want to do is to give a name to our button, which in this case we're going to call Generate YouTube Tasks. We can even select an icon for our button. So I'm going to look for some video icons and choose the one that I like best. And next step is to configure the automation itself. So what is the first step that you want to take when you click this button? So for us, we want to add a page to my tasks database. First thing I will do is to name my task, which is conduct market research. And I want to configure a few other properties. I want to first of all make sure that my task is linked to this project. So I'm going to select content creation and select this page. This is somewhat of a self-referencing filter if you're familiar with that, but you could choose any page within your content creation database. Next, I want to configure the owner property, and there's a few options in here as well. Again, you have a dynamic filter that allows you to select the person or assign the task to the person who clicked the button, or you can assign it to a specific person within your workspace. So let's go ahead and select the person who clicked the button. Lastly, I want to configure my deadline for the task as well. Usually I only create my YouTube tasks on the day that I start working on the video. So one of these 2 dynamic options will work for me. So I can either choose now or today. And the difference between the 2 is that now will actually include the time, whereas today will only include the date. You could also pick a fixed date if you wanted to, but in this case, today will work just fine. And that's about it. That's all that I want to configure for my first task for the YouTube video creation project. And I could go ahead and add another step and select add page to my tasks database and start configuring my step number 2 or task number 2. But a much easier way to go about that is to just duplicate the first task and change the title. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. My task number 2 is to brainstorm title and thumbnail ideas. And I have quite a few more tasks, so I'm gonna go ahead and configure those. Now that I've created all of my tasks, I'm going to add one more step so that once all of my tasks are created, it opens the page for the first task so I can start working on it straight away. So let's click on add another step, open page, and let's select the page that we want to open. So we can select any page from within the automation we're creating with this button. So even though it's very hard to read, I know this is my first step that I've created. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Next, you can choose how you want the page to open, either in side peek, center peek, or full page, whichever your preference is. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead with side peek. Note that there's currently a limit of 10 steps that you can add to a single button. As you can see, I no longer have the option to add another step in here. 10 steps should be enough to cover most use cases, but hopefully Notion will increase this limit in the near future. Now let's see the button in action. Let's go ahead and click Done and click Generate YouTube Tasks. And as you can see, the tasks have been populated into my tasks database, and a page has opened on the side pane for my first task, which was conduct market research. So I can just start working on it straight away. And if I close this side pane, we can even sort the tasks in our database by created time, so they're actually in a proper order. One other thing that you might be wondering is what's the difference between a button and a database template? Basically, the database template allows you to configure the properties and the body of every single new page that you create, whereas the button actually creates the pages inside the database while also allowing you to pre-configure the properties of that new entry. Our next use case is assigning one or multiple items in a database to a specific person. And for this example, we're going to use company OKRs. If I scroll down, you will see that I have here a progress tracker, which tells me whether my key results are on track, at risk, or blocked. Now let's imagine that I am the head of product and engineering, and I want to be added to all the blocked key results for my team so that I can help them unblock it. Let's see how we can achieve that with a button. So we're going to go ahead and type /BUT, which brings up our button block. I'm going to start by giving it a name such as add blocked product and engineering key results to me, and we're going to give it a nice icon to go with. Next, we're going to configure the automation and determine what is the action that we want to happen when we click this button. So I'm going to go ahead, add a step, and in this case we're going to select edit pages in a select database. So the database is our key results database. Next, we're going to configure which pages within that database we want to edit. By default, all pages have been selected, but that's not what we want to do. What we want is to edit the pages whose status is blocked. Also, we don't want to edit all the blocked key results, but we only want to edit the key results that are blocked for the product and engineering team. So we're going to add another filter rule for the team, which contains product and engineering. Now that we've configured which pages we want to edit, our next step is to edit which property we want to edit. In this case, we want to edit owners. We can either replace it, add, or remove. In this case, I want to add myself to the key result. So we're going to go ahead and select add. And in the select option, you can see that you can have a dynamic filter and assign it to the person who clicked the button, or just select someone from your Notion workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and select the person who clicked the button. You could edit other properties at the same time, but in this case, I just want to add myself to those blocked key results. What I do want to do is to create somewhat of a warning via a pop-up window to make sure that no one clicks this button accidentally and assigns these key results to themselves. So we're going to go ahead and add another step and select Show Confirmation. And as you can see, this will create a pop-up window that will have a question, which is, are you sure you want to continue? If you want to be more specific, we can actually say, are you sure that you want to assign all product engineering blocked key results to yourself? This is very clear. We'll make sure that if someone clicks on this button by accident, they will think twice before proceeding. We can configure our responses as well and have yes and no. What I will want to do next is to actually drag this confirmation question to the top, so it's the first thing that the automation will run. So before any action will take place, there will be this pop-up window showing this question. Now we're all set, so I'm going to click done, and I want us to have a quick look at these blocked key results. As you can see, they're all assigned to my alter ego Sophia, and what we want to achieve with it is to have myself, Karina, assigned to it. So let's go ahead and see the button in action. So when I click on it, we see our pop-up question that asks us if we're sure we want to proceed with this action. If I say no or cancel, you will see that nothing has happened. But if I go ahead and click on the button again and select yes, then there we go. Now you can see that my name has been added to that blocked key result. You can create as many buttons as you would like to perform different actions on the same database. You could, for example, have another button to assign, the blocked sales key results to the head of sales. If you're interested in using this Notion OKRs template, just check out the links down below in the description to download it. We've now covered 4 out of the 5 possible actions that you can create with the new Notion button. We've covered add items to a database, open a page, edit items in a database, and show a confirmation pop-up. So now let's cover our final type of action that you can create with the button, which is insert blocks in a page. And for our last use case, we're going to use a one-on-one meeting page as an example. So in this page, you likely want to track your agenda, your notes, and your task for every one-on-one session organized by date. Now I could simply just click on this whole block and duplicate it, but then I would need to go ahead and delete the agenda items, delete the notes, and delete the tasks. So a much nicer way to go about it is to create a button. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to type /BUT to bring our button block, and we're going to name it create a new meeting. We're going to select a nice icon to go with it, like a meeting with people. And then we're going to configure our button. So the step or the action that we want to be performed when we click the button is inserting blocks. Now you can configure these blocks any way that you see fit, but the easiest way is to actually grab one of the existing blocks, or the one that we just duplicated, and drop it inside here. Now you can just leave the agenda blank, or with a couple of topics as an example, as well as your notes and your tasks. What you will want to do is, rather than having a specific date, change this to at today, so that when the button is clicked, it will apply that day's date. And that is it. This one is a very straightforward one. We'll go ahead and click done. So next time that either you as a manager or you as the employee want to create a new meeting and start adding topics for your next one-on-one, you can just go ahead, create a new meeting, and you will have your agenda, your notes, and your tasks pre-created. Even if today is not your meeting date, you can always go ahead and change the date by clicking on add today and change it to a different date. Creating blocks was already possible with the previous template button, but I think we can agree that it looks much nicer with the new button format. There are many more use cases that the new Notion button unlocks, and I really look forward to seeing what solutions people come up with for their workflows in Notion. This is Notion's first attempt at bringing automations inside Notion versus having people use external tools like Zapier, Make.com, Bardeen, and so on. So it's really exciting to see what Notion will come up next in terms of automations. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if so, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to learn more about Notion, subscribe to the channel for weekly Notion tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.